Get ready for a surprise. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the TeamB Wrestling Show. I am your host, Brandon, joined by my co-host, Bill Zamack. How you doing, Bill?
I'm doing pretty good here, Bully B. How's it going, man?
Same old, just one foot in front of the other.
It's on the way to do
it. So, I'm wearing my hat, so give me more like a sporty commentary look, you know.
Yeah, we know you're trying to get the sports subscribers.
That guy watch sports. Yeah, he watched sports. He watched sports and bad movies and sports.
Get those sports subscribers. You know how you're trying to do that, man. I know your deal. So looks like we had a good night on decent. Well, I shouldn't say good, but crappy night for Raw and go home Raw yet again. Who knows, dude? Looks like we're left disappointed after a good go home Raw to last month's pay-per-view. We've kind of stepped into another shit pile of go home Raw to this upcoming Extreme Rules pay-per-view with this Raw. What you think?
My low point of the show was when it started. The high point was when it ended. Not trying to be a Debbie Downer here. Raw was okay. I really liked the New Day segment. Not trying to skip ahead, but the show started off with AJ Styles coming to the ring, trying to justify what happened the previous week. He was saying, I'm with my boys and everything, but I don't need no help to defeat Roman Reigns. I'm the phenomenal one. I've won championships in Japan and all over the world. He didn't mention the Florida promotion, though, but he did say all over the world. I was waiting for that. That would have been so funny. That would have been funny if he said, and the Florida promotion, too. That would have been hilarious. But the next thing you know, he's interrupted by Roman noodles, as you say. And Roman Reigns came out there. They had pretty much a stare down. And Roman Reigns is like, well, you never won the title. And AJ Styles was like, oh, yeah, you're not a bad guy, good guy. You're the guy I'm going to beat this Sunday. Just a little back and forth there. And Roman Reigns was saying, I know I could beat you. You need the club to help you. And AJ was like, I completely disagree, blah, blah, blah. And the crowd was really into it. They were in our home state of North Carolina. Very good crowd. The best crowd. It was the North Carolina crowd because I'm completely biased. But, Team B was planning to hit up Raw last night, but we couldn't make it due to our schedules. But next time, we're going to got it. I went to Raw up there in Charlotte a few years ago. Very good experience, and we plan to go Team B the first time in the future.
Yes.
Team B's been to TNA, but we plan to hit up Raw together. And
can't go to SmackDown. We can't go to SmackDown because if they do, nobody will know that SmackDown really comes on anymore. And if it happened on SmackDown, it.
If we go to SmackDown, we did. If we go to SmackDown, we never win at all. Because if it happened on SmackDown, it never happened.
Exactly.
So if we go, we didn't go. So we
exactly. Nobody was.
Right.
Yeah, but dude, that AJ Styles, man, it's a good feud. I mean, I like it. It's just the fact that they're saying the same things every single week. It's beginning like the writers aren't coming up with anything fresh to say. We know AJ is going to go out there. We know AJ is going to talk about he's the guy that's going to beat Roman Reigns. We know Roman Reigns says, "Oh, you're phenomenal. You're good everywhere, but you haven't won here." And "Oh, I'm the guy here." And AJ's like, "Oh, I know." And Roman says, "Well, you can't beat me out your guys." And AJ says, "Well, I can win, and you can't beat me straight out." And it's just another sad saga in this feud that could be better. But of course, we're talking about WWE creative writing here, so you pretty much know. But it was a decent opening to the show. I mean, the crowd gave AJ a decent, attention when it came.
Yeah. Did you get the vibe that he was kind of talking in heel mode, AJ Styles, a little bit there?
I felt like, I think it was more of a crowd induced heel feel to it. I don't know if AJ was trying to adjust to the environment, because see, when you're playing straight heat face, you can't let the crowd affect your face sound. But you're right, though, he did sound. It was to me, I felt like it was more of a crowd induced heel, kind of a heelish type promo. Not much on the edge of it, but lately the last two crowds have not been really full straight. I mean, they were booing Roman, but AJ didn't get quite the backing like he did. You know, it's been a couple weeks in a row that's happened, and you wonder, is it just the crowd, or is maybe AJ's is his steam is slowing down a little bit, which you don't want to happen because he's a legitimate shot against Roman. But I don't think
so. I think the crowd is into the Bullet Club. I don't think he's going to lose any momentum or anything like that. But if you want to talk about crowd influences, I love what Roman Reigns said. He said, "You ain't getting Rollins. It's not Rollins versus AJ. It's Roman versus AJ this Sunday." Yeah, he picked up on that, you know, what the crowd was saying. So that was pretty cool. Quick mention, Super Cena comes back in 2 weeks, and they kept showing these little commercial, little vignettes hyping up John Cena's struggle that he's been through and surgery he's been through. And we had this. I saw that probably 3 times during the show. It kept reminding us, Super Cena's coming back, guys. Don't worry. You know, it's going to be John Cena. They said
my surgery would take 9 months, but I'm going to be back in 5. You know, I'm like, oh. It means he's going to come back. So the old John Cena, it's like Tyrone Magnus said. He does reaction videos. He hates Cena. He was like, I wouldn't mind Cena coming back and maybe retooled or repackaged a little bit to give him a fresh start, man, because he comes back the same old, same old. That's why people just ain't going to ever cheer him. I mean, he ain't got to turn heel, but come back sort of fresh. You know, I thought tonight, dude, you remember when Sting left WCW, when he got mad because Luger and all of them thought that the fake Sting was him, and that he turned on when they had the rest of that cage match. I don't know if it was War Games or what, but they thought he had turned on Luger and them and Macho Man and them, and when they were fighting the NWO. And he come back as the heel, as the Crow Sting. He was black and white and stuff. Maybe if I was thinking, like, earlier when I was watching Cena, I said, what if Cena was to come back, but he wasn't as flamboyant, but he had on all black, you know, not the fresh color, but like maybe black, but have like the hustle loyalty thing, but just being black and not be as, you know, as ambitious as he appears or flamboyant he is when he comes out. You know what I mean? Just give him a little fresh, toned down view of himself, you know? I mean, that would even be better than just running out there and when they're bright neon pink.
One can hope, but I agree with you there. But one can hope that creative would actually be creative a little bit. But they're just going to bring him back as the same old, and probably have Roman Noodles versus Cena at SummerSlam, big SummerSlam match or something like that. Yeah. But they're bringing back Rollins too soon, hopefully, and that's going to be that's what I'm looking forward to. Is Seth Rollins coming back and Randy Orton. But
I am too,
Super Cena talking about he's coming back early. He's probably going to come back with electrical tape on the shoulder like Cesaro. Like, yeah, I'm back early, but I'm risking it, man.
I don't get that. Why is Cesaro? Is that a statement he's trying to make with that tape on? I don't get that. You know,
no, that's a healing device. It helps his shoulder heal quicker. He's still.
Oh, okay. Because I never understood why he was wearing that. Because I've seen somebody else wear that.
Still injured. It's like another name for a cast. Like when you have a cast on, he's still healing up. That's why. And that's a speed up item there, a speed up device to help him speed up. He shouldn't be in the ring, but he wants to come back and work, and I respect that. But you know, and risking injury. But you notice he don't do the swing or anything like that. He'll attempt to do it, but the ref will get in the way or something. That's little workarounds, and that's why he's always doing the running uppercuts and just little workarounds, and that's, you know, to keep the shoulder safe. And yeah, maybe Cena will come back with electrical tape too, and he can team with Cesaro temporarily, and they could be the electric tape.
Cesaro's strong, man. Cesaro is strong. I'll give him that. But speaking of Cesaro, that leads us into our next supposed match
Right.
Sami Zayn, Mr. El Generico, versus the Swiss Superman, Cesaro, which was a very abbreviated match, as we had outside, Kevin Owens, and you had the Miz on each side. Now, who didn't see that was going to happen, folks? Kevin Owens and Miz out there during commentary together during the Cesaro match. This kind of looks like what it did last week when they did that same interrupted it, and sure enough, it interrupted again. So ended up Kevin Owens got mad at Miz and threw Miz into the ring. So then they all fighting yet again. Oh, it's another no contest. And then Shane goes out there and says, "You know what? You four are going to be competing against each other in this fatal four-way for the title at Extreme Rules. But tonight we're going to put Kevin Owens and Miz versus Sami Zayn and Cesaro." And the fans started cheering. And then Stephanie's music hits. She comes out and then she says, "Oh, no, you know what'll work better? What's better for business? And that's have Sami Zayn team up with Kevin Owens versus Cesaro and the Miz."
Yeah, which was an interesting twist.
It was a good match, though, dude. I
like that tag team match. And
it was a good match. All four guys could, even the Miz actually could wrestle a little bit in this match. But to me, in my opinion, this was one of only two good matches out of the whole show was this match here. And that was the first match really of the night. But I thought it was a good match, I'm
with you. I'm with you there.
But it leads into the pay-per-view too, because now you're going to see, because Kevin Owens ended up it was the Miz. Who was it last? It was Kevin Owens that was the last man standing. Last man standing was Kevin Owens this time. They've had a different person each time this has happened. So I think this match was actually decent heading into the pay-per-view.
It's a good continuation. Go home segment match for the pay-per-view coming up. And I forgot what happened right after that.
Well, remember,
I'm thinking of New Days.
It was Renee Young was knocking on Jericho's door. And remember,
I tuned out, man, because I watched the majority of Raw, but the Jericho Dean Ambrose feud, I'm not paying attention to it. I'm just not. I try, but I just zone out with it. I'm not feeling.
Well, what happened was it was just the reason is because it's two basic different styles. Jericho's not fit to be in this kind of matchup with Dean. But what happened was that Renee basically said Dean Ambrose wanted to talk to Jericho, and Jericho told her how his jacket was worth more than anybody in town. It was supposed to go to Smithsonian. That it meant more to him than anything. And he said that he was going to get an apology out of Dean when he saw him tonight. So that was basically what it was. He said that even his jacket was more iconic than Andre the Giant.
I remember that part, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
What?
But that was what was that.
Like Raw felt like, I know Raw's a kid's show anyway, but it really felt like a kid's show last night when I watched it. At least those segments and parts of it. It just felt like a kid's show to me.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't as good.
I don't know. Yeah. Not saying that's a good or bad thing, but
that's not a good thing, dude. Not to us as wrestling fans that have watched it about all of our life. You don't want to see that stuff happen. But
I like PG WWF in the 80s and 90s, but this is a different PG. You
got spoiled with the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars.
Well, yeah, nothing would ever top that. Yeah. This is a different PG era from the 80s WWF. This is like more of a PC PG era. Mm-hmm. It's like they're trying to be I don't know, man. WWF in the 80s and 90s, even though it was PG, it felt like it was for kids and adults. They had more mature storylines. Yeah. You know what I mean? They weren't fighting over a fucking plant and a jacket. And
it's true. You're absolutely right, man.
In the PG era, you had The Undertaker from Death Valley, and you had Jake the Snake Roberts with with Damien out there, biting the Macho Man on the arm. That's pretty extreme for PG, things like that.
But it's true because Hulk Hogan was your hero. You wanted to have heroes and villains. That's what they portrayed back then, and you had with all the way the world is and things in today, you see it affects life. But back then, it had Hulk Hogan. He was the big hero. Say your prayers, eat your vitamins, all this kind of stuff. And then you had your bad guys.
Your steroids and take your steroids, brother.
That's what it was true, And like I said, which that's basically which you and I will touch on in a later episode with Hulk Hogan. But it was just they had a lot going on then and now, and this now I just feel like I just got spoiled with the Monday Night Wars, Attitude Era. Now you see all these guys are trying to push, and it's just the content, the writers. I really always blame the writers. You know me. Every time we talk, it's always the writers I blame anyway. The
writers are not WWE fans. They're some of them probably are, but they're usually just Hollywood writers, soap opera writers. I think back in the day, you didn't really have you had a smaller writing team, but it was more booking the match,
right?
Telling simple stories and stuff, and a lot of stuff feels very rehearsed and forced. Like when AJ cut his promo, which was a really good promo, you could just tell he just memorized the script. It wasn't that organic. The only thing organic about it was Roman Reigns with the comment, "You're not going to see Rollins, you're going to see Roman Reigns," because that was a real out of character comment, or however you want to say it. That wasn't in the script, so that felt real. But it wasn't bad. I'm just saying comparing it to the past. It's just not as good, obviously, but it's like a watered down version of WWE. Maybe water's the wrong word, but I'm not saying it's bad. It's like on a smaller scale from what it used to be. Obviously, when you compare it to the late '90s and the Attitude Era, stuff like that, of course. But I just watch it for what it is.
Right.
But
I didn't get to say. I forgot to say, but in that matchup between the four of them, Sami Zayn ended up kicking the Miz in the face to win. I was talking about it, but I didn't never say who tell the audience, the subscribers and stuff, and those viewing it who won the matchup. Usually I do. I don't know why I missed that, but it was Sami Zayn ended up winning that matchup, but Owens ended up being on the one last standing when that match ended. So, that's who won that one. But what do you think of the Shining Stars, Primo and Epico, making their debut?
I like Primo and Epico better when they had their valet. What's her name? That Hispanic.
Yeah. Oh,
when she was out there doing a little dance with them. That like everybody's forgot about them.
I know.
El Matadors, what's up?
Yeah, they had to go back and repackage.
Yeah, that's silly, man. But,
and you know who they were facing? They were facing.
Hold on. It was funny as hell. The local athletes, or the local athletes.
WWE ain't supposed to do that, man. That was WCW's style. What are they doing?
What, the jobbers? No, they had jobbers.
They don't have jobbers anymore, unless unless you got a sorry. That's when you tell your team is very sorry or weak. Usually, when you see people like Apollo Crews come up, they don't even fight jobbers. They'll fight like Stardust or Heath Slater. These dudes fought. They said from the home state of North Carolina. I'm like, oh crap, they're going to get beat. They ain't even got names. They're just guys from hometown North Carolina. That just tells you how bad it is, man. It really, really is when they're fighting those guys.
The tag team division's pretty hot and solid right now.
Yeah.
So maybe they got shot in the tag team division. I don't know. If you're in a tag team, it's harder to fade out. You know what I mean? Like Fandango, like how he faded out. But the tag teams stay relevant, at least for now. So maybe they can have a little push there. Who knows?
Yeah, but it was still pretty.
And need Carlito out there with him, man. That was the good one. These are like the Carlito rejects. But no, I'm not a fan of them. I respect what they done and their heritage and what their father did, but that's about it. I don't really care about them.
It was a squash match. That's all.
They're going to do that. They're going to do that for 5 or 6 weeks straight. Because you remember when the Funkadactyl came out there and he had them squash jobber matches Like,
What was his name? No, it weren't Titus. Titus? Was it Titus?
I don't know.
He's Cyrus on TNA, but I don't remember what his name was. That's sad.
Brodus Clay. Brodus Clay.
Brodus Clay. There you go, bud. That's it. Brodus Clay. Yeah. Brodus Clay.
But that's all he did for like 2 straight months. Come out there and have squash matches. And I guess we're going to see this with Primo and Epico every week for about 5 weeks or so. You know, like an advertisement. Like we had 5 weeks of them vignettes. Now we're going to have 5.
Yeah. They pushed their vignette. That's
we don't know what an island is, apparently.
Yeah, and they had the women with them, the pretty women with them each time. No, that was about something. We are the shining stars. You can find it all in Puerto Rico.
That's such a generic team name, the Shining Stars. That's so generic.
That's the indie name, man.
I thought when I saw them, I said, that's so generic.
That's like going to the Armory. That's going to the National Armory for a matchup and having a tag team called the Shining Stars. And these guys' names were Scott Jackson and Brian Kennedy, who they fought, man. That's who they were from the great state of North Carolina. Like we were really going to know they were going to give a fighting chance of it when you got jobbers like that. But anyway, it was very, very awful to see that matchup. But up next we see, they cut backstage and over to talking while they're talking about commentators are talking. You see Shane talking to Dean, and people wonder what he's talking to Shane back because he said he wanted to talk to Shane, which we find out later on what he's talking to Shane about. But he comes out to the ring, and he did you see he got a massive pop. I think he had the loudest pop of the night in Greensboro was Dean Ambrose because they cheered him. I think to me, in my opinion, he got the biggest pop. But he come out there and like you said, dude, I know you're not too much into this, and I can understand because, like I said, I'm just only explaining it. He comes out with a little scarf and vest on, and he wants Ambrose to give him an apology. But Ambrose says, "You want me to give?" And everybody starts going, "No, no, no." And he says, "That's not going to happen. You think I called you out here to give you an apology?" And Jericho calls him a stupid. He challenges him to a match, and Jericho calls him a stupid idiot, and he's the real lunatic. Now,
shut your mouth, you stupid idiot. Yeah,
there's nobody. He's the real lunatic. There's nobody crazier than him. Because remember, Ambrose on SmackDown, which I don't know, what happened was Jericho's music hit, and he attacked Dean from behind and put a straitjacket on Dean and just beat him down. Dean didn't expect it. And when the lights come back on, Dean's laying down on the mat with his face down, and Jericho puts a straitjacket on him. And it took 5 referees to get a straitjacket off of Dean on SmackDown. But that's why the match was today. So he tells Dean says, "You know what? I got a gift for you, Jericho." And the point looks up, and everybody looks up, and all of a sudden the ceiling starts flashing, the lights start flashing, and it looks like a cage. And I'm like, oh boy, another cage match. But what happens is, as it's coming down, there's stuff at the top of them. I'm like, what is that stuff? And I look up, and there's a mop, there's a bucket, there's a straitjacket, there's some sort of button. I'm like, what? I said, oh my God. I said, I bet you some sort of mental hospital type match. What? Just wait and see. And then he says, oh yeah, he says, we're going to have this is the Ambrose Asylum, and we're going to call this an Asylum match.
Yeah, I did like that with the Asylum music playing in the background. Mm-hmm. I did catch that. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
As the cell was coming down there, it was playing the music. He was like, it's going to be an Asylum match. Yeah.
They had a kendo stick. So barely it's a extreme rules match, but it's like a cage match with stuff hanging up. So I guess what's going to end up happening is one's going to try, which we'll get into our predictions on our later on. But anyway, this Hulu moment, folks, for those like I said, didn't watch it. Becky Lynch yet again had a match against Dana Brooke for the second straight week. They're going back and forth. Dana Brooke gets the upper hand. She ends up throwing Becky into the the fans by ringside. She comes back. Becky comes back with her and does the T-bone suplex. Only gets a 2 count. Becky tries to go for the sunset flip on Dana, but she ends up reversing it to get a 1, 2, 3. So that was that match. There's really not much to get into. Becky's getting that pushed back down the card now because this is like the second or third straight week that she's got thumbed in the eye, poked in the eye, and Dana Brooke, which I know Dana Brooke is new, but she should get somebody else to fight her, like Alicia Fox, than keep getting Becky Lynch to put her over because it's bringing Becky right back down after she was getting so high up in the card. That's what pisses me off of them is they get her so high up in the card, then they turn around and they're bringing her straight back down now. So anyway, that was it. They
can't push for so many at a time.
Well, but they could have 2 matches, dude. They could have 2 storylines going. They don't have – they focus on one Divas out of 3 hours. That's why their freaking show is like it was. They had 2 matches on there a while back. They were doing good with that, but then they revert back to what they know. Funny point of the night was this.
They stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. Yeah. And then they got the 50 booking. I beat you 1 week.
To do that.
Yeah.
But that makes the funny part. I don't know if you caught. Did you catch the live moment with Bob Backlund and Darren Young?
No. Either I missed it or it was not included on the Hulu version.
No, it wasn't because I actually saw that part. I actually saw that part on a feed. It was so funny. You have this split screen. This whole Darren Young has come back as he's wanting somebody to help train him as a live coach.
Right.
Bob Backlund wants to be the wrestling coach, but anyway, it's live coach is what it is. You have Darren Young on one side, Bob Backlund on the other. Bob Backlund asking what time it is, and he's looking at his watch, and Darren Young's taking his phone out, and he's like, "What are you doing trying to call somebody?" And being on time is important. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm looking at my time. He says, "What's your watch say?" He said, "I don't have a watch. It's on my phone." He's like, "Nobody wears watches anymore." And Bob Backlund was talking to someone.
Smart watches, but yeah, I get what he's saying.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, it was funny because he said nobody really wears watches anymore, and that's basically truth. I mean, unless it's a smart watch. But I mean, for the most part, because I don't even wear them anymore. I used to wear.
People still wear them for fashion.
Yeah,
like people I watch on TYT, they all wear the little Rolex watches and stuff. It's a fashion statement, you know.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I won't make a watch, just a regular watch. I miss having my watch.
It was just a funny thing. It was, and then it ends up where they never get on the same cord, and he tells Bob Backlund wants Darren Young to do 200 squats and stuff, and then he starts doing that. Then they show a backstage segment again, which didn't show up on Hulu again. I don't know how they're managing all these matches and stuff. I know they got to cut 30 minutes out, or an hour and a half out of it, but it's like it's some of the matches are off of it that you don't know. Stephanie and Shane are talking and stuff, and all of a sudden the Dudleys come in, and you know they said they want some little local guys to squash, and Shane says that weren't happening because one of them was going to face Mr. SAWFT Swarth tonight, Big Cass tonight. Yes, and Enzo Amore. So we see that then all of a sudden the big turn last week, folks. If you missed it, Tyler Breeze and Fandango both turned on R-Truth and Goldust. Now they're a tag team together, and they fought against each other.
That's the golden truth. That is the golden truth, folks.
Yeah, it was the golden truth. Now they broke up, so now let's go back to Goldust and R-Truth again.
Oh, they switched. Okay.
Yeah, okay. That's what I'm saying. Tyler Breeze ended up turning on R-Truth, and Fandango turned on Goldust. So those two were facing each other tonight. Ends up where Breeze throws R-Truth out to the outside, and he ends up pinning Goldust, and Goldust is mad after the match. And in the back, you see him and Truth arguing about the ring, and Truth tries to convince Goldust that the WWE wants, well, like you said, the golden truth. So I guess either way, they're going to have the golden truth You're going to have the golden truth and not the gorgeous truth. So you see that happening. And then all of a sudden, here's Bootios. Bootios, the New Day. New Day's coming out there.
Now, hold on. Yeah, the New Day, I like the New Day segment a lot. Just when you think the New Day is kind of played out, they refresh themselves. I like this segment a lot with the time machine thing. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
No, you're right, man.
Well, the New Day came out and they cut a segment. They had this time machine that was what was it made out of? Like cardboard or something?
A big freezer cardboard box or something. Like
yeah, big freezer cardboard box. And Kofi Kingston, he went into the time machine and the lights changed a little bit and he came out and he was Kofi Kingston, the Jamaica personality that he started off with, and they started playing his old music. I thought that was cool. And the point of this was they were talking smack about the Vaudevillains, which the Vaudevillains characters are characters from a bygone era. So that's why the New Day had this time machine out there. They're pretty much making fun of the Vaudevillains for being outdated. So they were time traveling and stuff like that, and they time traveled into the past, and the monitor or whatever, the camera, it turned black and white filter, and they were in the past, and Xavier Woods said, "Oh, this sucks. No video games." That's something I would say, because I said, "Hey, put me in the 1950s anytime, but just give me the internet or something." You know, that's something I would say. But I totally get that. But and then they got attacked by the Vaudevillains. My boys, the Vaudevillains, came out there and attacked them and had a little back and forth, continuing the storyline, and the time machine fell over.
Yeah.
I like that. I thought that was creative and cool and fun. You know, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, you said it all. I mean, I agree totally with you. I just think that I'm like you. I think this was just a good carryover. I mean, it doesn't have to be a match. New Day is making they're really hot right now, like you said. Just when you think they're kind of getting a little stale, they come out and do something else that's kind of funny that can carry over. And this was a good idea because they just made fun of the Vaudevillains and stuff, and so they didn't even need a match. This segment helped carried over their feud. So you're right. I totally agree. You know, it's funny coming in with those mustaches on and stuff, and they didn't have the Bootios. They had the derriere squares, and you know, Kofi he didn't have a cell phone. He had this phone that looked like them old phones that you pick up and you have to take the hook off of it and talk on it. It was funny though. But I agree with you, man. It was they're really hot right now, and it's good that they can do more things and avoid being stale. So yeah, it was I thought it was a good thing, and it's going to be a good matchup for the Vaudevillains to fight to go against them at the pay-per-view. So yeah, I agree with you. It was a good matchup. For that.
Earlier in the night during the AJ Styles Roman Reigns promo, Roman Reigns said, "My boys are going to take on your boys," which booked the tag team match of the club versus the Usos 2-on-2, which happened next from my Hulu perspective, which was the next match coming up. And this was a pretty decent tag team match. I weren't that into it, but it was all right. I guess because they had a 6-man tag the past couple of weeks, and I know it's 2-on-2, but and then the Usos won. I was going for the club there. They went over clean, and it was okay. Just nothing special.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I was going for the club because it seems like their club hasn't been fairly booked right since they've gotten there. You know, they have basically been. I feel like they haven't been booked like they should have. It seems like. When they were in the Bullet Club in Ring of Honor and New Japan, they were a dominant team. You know, here they've lost to the Usos. What? Ain't this the second straight time they lost to the Usos?
Yeah, I think that's a mistake, man.
It is. You're not building them strong at all.
Right, exactly.
You know, so. But like you said, I thought it was a pretty decent match. That's why I said this was my second. This would be my second straight match, or my second match that was actually decent. you know, and whatnot. But you know, it was
Kalisto. Yeah, because Kalisto and Alberto Del Rio had a match, and
Big Cass fought Devon. That was the Hulu moment because you didn't see it. If it didn't, but like I guess what we're going to have to say about Hulu is that if it didn't happen on didn't happen on Hulu, then it didn't happen. You know, but Big Cass,
they just keep the relevant segments because I can't sit through a 3-hour Raw every single week.
I agree with you. But Big Cass,
I love them. That's why I'm like, well, Raw was okay every week because I'm always watching the 90-minute version of it.
Well, me too. That's why I said unless you do rescout it and see the segments are not on there. But it was a short match. He defeated Devon. Devon ended up Bubba tried to go for a chair to distract Cass, and Devon ended up attacking him from behind. And Big Cass comes back, and he ends up hitting the spinning sit outside slam. The spinning outside slam finisher for the short matchup. And like you said, up next was basically a rematch for the U.S. Championship back when Del Rio had it. He fought Kalisto. Kalisto, you know, was in this matchup, and you know, Del Rio, as normally being the bigger guy, dominated most of the matches. Now, I thought in this matchup, dude, he actually showed some of his athleticism. And it was funny because I did hear a point to where Byron Saxon said something like, when Del Rio was on the ring posing.
Good shape. He's in good shape.
Yeah. And it was
Could
like,
you be more obvious? Could you be more obvious?
JBO kid tickled me, but it was funny cracking on Byron. But yeah, it was a good. It was he. Kalisto had a few moments. His little Hurricane Rana stuff he does, typical. And then, you know, Rusev was in the back, and he ended up beating up on poor old Sin Cara. Sin Cara got whipped, man. All the way from the back to the front, dude. And,
Lana's got her hair back up in a bun now.
Yeah, I hated that, man. What's the deal with that?
I don't know.
Man, I thought she looked good with her hair in that long ponytail or something, but I was like, no.
She looked good at WrestleMania, the WrestleMania pre-show match. I love the way she looked in that. I didn't even recognize her at first. And then when she slapped her ass in the ring and all that at the pre-show, I was like, man, I want to see Lana back in the ring a little bit just so I could have some pictures in my head, you know, some memories in my head.
She looked very beautiful. I mean, she didn't have that business suit on. She had like this, to me, it looked like an old 1920s secretary skirt, like with the white shirt, the white blouse, I guess she had. Looked like one of, and a black skirt. It went to her knees, but she looked like a 1920s secretary sort like that, which was sexy. It wasn't bad looking at all. But he ended up beating, and Kalisto got distracted by what was going on outside, of course. And Del Rio hit the backstabber for the 1-2-3. Del Rio wins. And whatnot.
Champs are chumps. Champs are chumps. Like Solomonster says, champs are chumps. The champs get pinned.
Oh my God! Did you? And it didn't mention it, but Rusev about stretched poor old Sin Cara. Dude, I ain't never seen him he beat him back like a letter U, man. I mean, he just oh my God. Anyway.
That is so dangerous. I'll tell you another thing that's dangerous. The bowling ball move that Kevin Owens does, because he did it early. That kind of, I'm just like, when I saw that in that tag match earlier in the night, I said, that is just so dangerous. It's cool, but that is just so dangerous. It's like he might land on his head and fucking break his neck.
Well, and who was it? The Usos? Don't the Usos do something like that?
I'm not a fan of that, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. I miss the days of the power drivers and all them kind of maneuvers, but they don't look too safe, man. You got to have very rehearsed to pull that off.
I get that, and I felt the same way.
Kevin Owens being a almost super athlete, doing that bowling ball move, that's just dangerous. So dangerous. Can you imagine Vader doing that? Big Van Vader doing a bowling ball?
Sure. And dude, I wouldn't want to.
Or Yokozuna. You should get Yokozuna doing that. That's just some scary stuff to see, man.
It is, and that was why when what I liked during the during that matchup at the end of the matchup with the club and the Usos, with that matchup, it was basically which we were talking, when AJ Styles was facing up against him, it was cool. I was glad to see him finally take a good shot, at there, because the Usos ended up winning. They defeat like you and I were just talking about. But it was funny because they were staring down at each other. And,
Right.
You thought that AJ was, AJ ended up getting hit with a chair. And then Reigns does his all Superman punches on everybody and the planet. And then it was good because it was Gallows. Gallows, the tall one, right? Ain't Gallows the tall one? Yeah, he ends up hitting Reigns with the chair, and poor old AJ gets the chair, and he starts whipping up on Roman Noodles like nothing, and he ends up doing a Styles Clash finally on him on the steel chair. So awesome that he got that done. I thought that was pretty cool. But anyway,
I agree. Let's move on to the because not much happened after that, in my opinion.
that was just the Shane and Stephanie.
Let's move on to the
contract sign. That was it. That was really it.
Yeah, they had the women's title match contract signing segment in the main event, which I don't have a problem with that. But that was your main event segment, and the best part of that, I love the way Charlotte was dressed. I like that. She was smoking hot. She was saying, "Hey, this is Flair country," and woo. And Ric Flair was hilarious. He was like, woo, woo, woo.
She's like, hold on, calm down.
Charlotte, she's very good in the ring. She was a gymnast, and a lot of people give her credit. I have a lot of respect and appreciation for what she does. And I don't think she's bad looking. I mean, she's not the prettiest diva on the roster, but I'm just saying, if you see Charlotte in real life, you'd probably be like, wow, that's a good looking woman. It's just the way she comes off on TV, I guess you could say. But her as a villain makes her more attractive too. Yeah. But she ain't bad looking, man. And the Flairs are better than the Harts, in my opinion. Well, I kind of back and forth on that because actually the only Hart I liked was Bret Hart. I love Ric Flair's career. He's definitely my number one, number two, he's top three. And he's from here. So it's a little biased there. But Ric Flair and Bret Hart, they didn't have that many matches. They had a match in WWF in 1992 because you remember when Ric Flair was the WWF champion after he won the Royal Rumble in 92, he lost the belt to Bret Hart later that year. That's the only match I can recall between them two, unless Bret had a match with Flair in WCW in the late 90s. But anyway, they talk about the Flair versus the Harts, and they ain't really had that many matches.
No,
together.
It wasn't even a feud. I mean, much of a feud.
No, because they had like one match.
Yeah, and it was just Bret. I mean, because who else do you have feuding? Besides what? Anvil? No. Owen? No. Who you got on Flair's side? Just Flair. Ain't nobody like he's got a family or something or other people wrestling with him that feuded. I mean, that's different than a Sting and Flair feud. I mean, that's a feud right there. That's just
WWE's revisionist history to make it sound bigger than what it actually was.
Oh yeah.
But all they got to say is the Hart family and the Flairs, just say it in a way like they both got legacies in the business, but don't make it sound like they actually had a lot of matches together because they haven't.
Right.
I don't know. But, and that was pretty much your Raw show. They had a contract signing, and Natalya and Charlotte's gonna have a match at Extreme Rules. Another match.
Stephanie slapped.
Ric Flair's banned from ringside still, and I thought Ric Flair was going to say the B word. I thought he almost called Stephanie a bitch because he said, "Stephanie, you're a bad businesswoman." And I was like, "Oh shit!" But he's like, "You're a bad businesswoman. If it weren't for your husband, I wouldn't like you too much." Because Ric Flair and Triple H are pretty tight.
Oh yeah.
He was Triple H's manager, and for a while, and they were in Evolution together. And Ric Flair was Triple H's favorite coming up. one of his favorites growing up. Him and Arn Anderson. That's why he does the spine buster, you know.
Right.
But yeah, that was pretty much Raw. Jumping to Extreme Rules between Natalya and Charlotte. I think maybe I think Charlotte, since we're on this feud, I think Charlotte will keep the title here because she's going on such a long run as champion. She might be like CM Punk and be like 422 days. You know, she's I don't think they're gonna break it just yet because Natalya is just somebody. She's great in the ring and everything, but there's not much for her to do. When I saw Natalya on Total Divas season 1, and I saw her talking in the office with the writer teams and stuff, she's pretty much the talent that puts other people over. Mm. She's more like a trainer type. So there's really no reason to put the title on her unless they're going to continue the feud. But they got so many women on the roster like Becky Lynch that can go. Well, she's already went after Charlotte, but there's other divas. So I think Charlotte's going to sneak away with the victory at Extreme Rules. If I had to guess, because she's been on such a long streak, you know. I think she'll lose the streak of the title like at a SummerSlam or something if she can get that far with it. It'd be a big deal when she loses it, I think.
That's right. Yeah, man, I agree with you. You know, like I said, Extreme Rules coming up. This upcoming.
Maybe they're trying to set a standard for the new women's championship. Maybe they're trying to set a good streak, a good record for the first women's champion of the new era.
I understand that, you know, and which we look forward to. Extreme Rules this upcoming Sunday, you know, on pay-per-view for $9.99. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Charlotte's going to retain. It's a submission match, which I see Natalya doing her submission. I just have some feeling that something's going to happen. But Natalya and I agree with you. Natalya isn't one that's going to be getting that title. She's more of a valued talent, like you said, that can put over. She can carry a good feud, but she's kind of like, you know, when Ric Flair got that last push to try to get the world title. You knew he wasn't going to get it from Triple H, but he got a little feud going with Triple H for the title. You know, you had that one last thing.
I love that. I love that episode of Raw.
Yeah.
Because Triple H was looking at Flair like he was crazy. And Ric Flair's like, woo, flamboyant, I still got it. And I'm challenging you for the title tonight. I love that episode.
It was good to see. It was a feel-good moment, but then you kind of like, well, but Ric Flair ain't going to beat Triple H.
I know. He's already down to it. Yeah. It was still good.
He's past his prime, and he's, he's pretty much was on his way out then, from retiring. But Natalya's not, she's still beautiful. She's not old, but she's not going to be, she's a valuable opponent, worthy opponent, I would say, out of the women's locker room.
Somebody to throw in there because she's good in the ring. She's like the female Randy Orton in a way. She's already done everything, and she just goes out there and has good matches with whoever's coming up.
If you want a good feud, you can put her in there with another woman, and you'll know it'll be a good feud. And I think, too, it was to help Charlotte out because to have victory over Natalya, being who she is, it's kind of like if Trish Stratus was to put over somebody or Lita was to put over somebody, which, Trish, did you know Trish Stratus did mention, and not to break away from this, but Trish Stratus did mention that she would have, conditions had to be right, but she would return back to the WWE to go for the WWE Women's Championship.
I love to see that because I love older women, and I've always been a Trish fan.
Now she was then.
Exactly. And she does a lot. She's into yoga and stuff like that. She's just a really interesting woman on the outside, and she's great in the ring.
Right.
She's beautiful, man. Even at the Hall of Fame when she was pregnant, she's just so beautiful. I like her better as a brunette. And I've seen her in person at WrestleMania 27 because, lucky me, the one WrestleMania I go to turns out to be the worst one in history. I don't think it was. I think it was better in WrestleMania 9. But anyway, I don't care. It was a fun night, fun experience. I got to see all the stars. But when Trish came out with Snooki, I was just looking at Trish. I was like, wow, there's Trish, man. The one I grew up in the Attitude Era looking at every week. The one that got on her knees and barked like a dog back in the day.
I know that was Vince for you, but yeah, I agree with you, man. Sideline. I think.
Well, here's a little bonus for you, ladies and gentlemen. What was the Raw rating this week, Bill? If you got it on.
Yeah, I forgot about the Raw rating here. Yeah, sorry about that, folks. We got caught up sort of transition period here. The actual rating this week, and like I said, like we discussed at the beginning, it was very low. It was a bad Raw. The Raw rating this week was there were 3.191 million viewers. That was down from 3.238 million viewers. So they lost an average of about, I would say, 40,000 viewers than last week. The first hour actually did the best at 3.376, and it was actually higher than the first hour last week. But the second hour is where it started dropping down because it went from 3.376 to 3.302, and that was down from last week's 3.56. Even still, the second hour last week wasn't as good as the first hour of this week. And then the third hour is the biggest drop. Third hour, it went from 3.302 to 2.894 million viewers. That is down from, that is almost a 400,000 viewer drop.
Yeah, and they're going to blame it on the women's segment, and I wish they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, but that whole segment sucks, dude. You think about it.
I don't think it's that segment. I don't think that's the problem. I just think it's just people just tuning out for other reasons. But did you think the women's segment was bad? I thought it was pretty good.
I think the segment that fell up underneath was the Roberto Del Rio versus Kalisto match.
Yeah. I was about to stop watching myself, and then I saw it had like 15 minutes left, and then they got the contract signing. So, yeah, that's probably why. But they'll probably blame the women when it was actually something happened before.
It's the whole hour, not just that one segment. That's why I said it was just a combined amount of issues with that. But, yeah, it was just a drop, and you didn't want a drop for your Raw rating, the Raw before the go-home Raw. You don't want that happening. So it dropped down, like I said, almost, a little less than 100,000, maybe 40,000.
This is the go-home Raw, too, the go-home Raw.
And that's what makes it bad. But, yeah, that was – and that, ladies and gentlemen, that was this week's Raw rating. And we'll get back into the predictions, sir.
What you think about the Fatal 4-Way for the IC title, Extreme Rules? Who you gambling on?
I think this, to me, is going to be one of the best matches of the night. Why? Because I'll count Miz. All four of these guys can put on a great match. If you want a matchup to take two of these four guys, counting the Miz, and I think you can have a valuable match. Now you have all four. If they let them do it as they need to do it, I feel that this is going to be a great match. This is one of my great matchups, Bill Mack's matchups to watch is the Fatal 4-Way. And if you ask me down, and it's very tough, they actually like this because they've made it difficult to kind of predict who you think is going to win because someone else has always come out on top every week. But I'm going to say I think somehow, some way, I think maybe I will give it to you. I'm gonna say upset, dark horse. I'm gonna say Sami Zayn somehow comes out only because he hasn't had a title, and I think everybody's gunning against Miz. Somehow Sami Zayn may pull it off because he has been shining here the last 2 or 3 weeks with his matches. Remember, he's beat the Miz on SmackDown. He beat the Miz on Raw. He fought tonight in the night's matchup. I'm just going to say this is an upset for me, and I'm going to say Sami Zayn somehow comes out with this win because I've been betting against Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens hadn't won, so I don't want to bet on him again. But I think with this Fatal 4-Way I'm going to pull for Sami Zayn. That's going to be my upset special.
I'm going to pick Cesaro as my upset just for the hell of it.
Okay.
I like to see. I'm a big fan of Cesaro. I like to see him with it. Sami Zayn, he's great in the ring, botches aside, but I think he's more somebody just going to lose a lot. Like, the crowd will be into him no matter what, but he's just going to lose a lot. You know, like Mr. Joey Number said one week. He said Sami Zayn can lose every week and people still cheer for him. I don't know. I just don't see it yet. But, you know, could be wrong.
I could, and the only reason why I picked that is because it's a fatal 4-way. So he doesn't have to
You don't have to pin the champion.
Right. That somehow that happens, because you've seen a lot of champions. Look at Zack Ryder. He got it, and he didn't even technically win a match. He just won the ladder match.
He's friends with the local athletes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm picking Sammy's, because it's a fatal 4-way. You know, had it been a singles match, I might have not picked him, but I just feel like
what's the tag match going to be? The Vaudevillains.
Tag match is the New Day champions versus the Vaudevillains for the titles.
You know, I think the Vaudevillains will get the titles here, just to give them sustain their push here. Because you got to have a title change on the card somewhere. And I think because New Day's had the titles for a while now, right?
Yeah, they've had them since September.
Yeah, I say put the titles on the Vaudevillains and keep this feud going. They can have the rubber match next month. I say put it on the Vaudevillains, because the Vaudevillains lose. What happens next? You know, unless Enzo Amore is coming back and Villains can feud with Enzo and Cass. Unless he's coming back soon, they can do that. Who knows? But I'm gonna say, just for the hell of it, that the Vaudevillains are gonna pull out the victory here.
Okay, well, I understand that. I'm going to go with the New Day retaining, only because I feel like they're going to continue this feud on. Maybe one more. I think they're going to have some sort of – I think they're going to try to extend it, maybe one more match. So I'm going to say somehow I think that the New Day will obtain –
But that's what I'm saying, like, from my point of view. The Vaudevillains
I understand what you're saying.
win the title, and then New Day can say we want our rematch clause. You know,
yeah, because
Triple H forgot about. You know,
because Enzo is out. Enzo is out, so you don't have Enzo and Cash to tag against the Vaudevillains to make one of those two viable. So now you've got the Vaudevillains. So I just think maybe they'll give them, since Enzo and Cash aren't in play, unless Enzo comes back for the pay-per-view. But yeah. I just think in this match, I just kind of think they'll have at least retain it, but there'll be one. This won't be the end of the feud. I think they'll continue on, because this is a good feud with them to have. Because I don't see another tag team other than the Dudley Boys really doing anything, and nobody's really pushing the Dudley Boys right now. So I'm gonna say, I think, in my opinion, I think New Day will kind of keep that one. So we kind of see.
Okay. What else we got?
We have the match on the pre-show nobody's going to watch. It's a DQ match between, and we didn't even see, this is how bad this match is. It didn't even have a match on the show tonight. No DQ match. Mr. 2000's Shawn Michaels, Dolph Ziggler versus nobody cares about the Lone Wolf, Baron Corbin. And this
I forgot about him.
Yeah, pre-show matchup, folks. Who's shocker to see Ziggler reduced to pre-show matches now? Their match wasn't even on the paper. It wasn't even on Raw tonight. They didn't even have the storyline tonight.
Okay. What's next? Trying to wrap it up here.
Oh, are you gonna did you say who'd you pick?
Oh, I don't care. I'm gonna say the Lone Wolf pulls out the victory here.
All right, I got Ziggler. Next up, U.S. title, Kalisto versus Rusev.
Oh, that's tough. I don't know. I want to say Rusev because they kind of repackaged him. They're giving him a renewed push. Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking about how many title changes are actually going to happen at the event. So I'm going to say because, see, like, if Kalisto loses the title, it makes sense because he could just renew his tag team with the Botcha Dragons, you know. So, But Rusev, they're building him up to be strong again. Maybe I'm gonna say Kalisto pulls up the upset somehow, but at least Rusev looking strong.
All right, I'm gonna go for Rusev. I was going for that very reason why you said, because he's gaining strength now. So I think they need this to have him to really cement him back as a monster heel. I'm going for Rusev. Next up, you have the Asylum matchup. You have Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho.
Dean Ambrose is going to win this because Jericho is just there to put over new talent. And if Ambrose loses this match, he's in trouble. So I'm pretty confident Dean Ambrose is going to win this match decisively.
Okay, and I'm going with you on this one too, man. I don't see Jericho getting another another pay-per-view win over Ambrose. Ambrose just has to go at least 2 in a row for him to win. Okay, last matchup of the night. WWE Extreme Rules match. WWE World Championship on the line. You have the guy, Roman Noodle Reigns, against the phenomenal AJ Styles. Who is your pick, sir?
I want AJ to win this match, but I'm pretty sure Roman Reigns is going to keep the title until SummerSlam, at least SummerSlam. So Roman Reigns is going to pull off the victory here, but there's going to be some shenanigans, like the Bullet Club might accidentally cost AJ the match, or they might turn on AJ, or something's going to happen. Some shenanigans are going to happen here, but my overall conclusion would be Roman Reigns walks out still champ.
Yeah, the heart says I want AJ to win it. The head says for the very same reasons you said. I think that Roman's going to walk out and win it just for that reason. I wish they would quit pushing. I want AJ to win it straight out, but I think
AJ could be a good face of the company. Try him out. Let AJ Styles have the championship for a couple of months. Try it out.
Dude, somebody posted.
He could be the Daniel Bryan of the company. Maybe
somebody posted a promo Roman Reigns cut in NXT as he was in a business suit with a Rolex watch and stuff as a heel. Awesome heel, man. He should turn heel. They said Vince is going to give up on him. Just turn him heel. He'll be a monster heel for you.
Because you got Super Cena coming back, and you can get a good couple of years out of Super Cena. We haven't seen him in a while.
But I don't want to be too wrestling suit. He needs to be transitioning phase and not still. He can still carry some matches, but don't make him. He don't need to keep being a monster over the next few years. He needs to help these other people up too. But I'm gonna say just for the say of it, Roman Reigns will probably retain it. I'd love to see AJ win it. So that's basically our picks for the WWE 2016 Extreme Rules.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for checking out the TeamB Wrestling Show. I am Brandon Bullet B with my co-host Bill Mack.
That's right.
We'll see you guys next time, and take care.
Peace out.